Bōde's Edmonton market update for February 2022. We're going to quickly chat about what's happening right now with homes being bought and sold in Edmonton. We're going to talk about what's happening with supply and demand and prices. So let's dive in. Jeff, tell us from your perspective, what's happening in Edmonton right now?
Well, I mean, the story is very, very little supply. There's very little inventory. Typically, we'd expect to see 6,000 or 7,000 listings on the market right now, and we only see about 4,000. And this is contemplating all of the Edmonton metropolitan area and all property types. So this is detached, semi-detached, and apartment style condos. So yeah, there's just very little supply, and sellers are really in the driver's seat.
Yeah, we've seen since COVID seen incredible demand. It's just every month almost has been massively up over what's typical for that month, and in terms of sales in January 2022, up almost 50% over what a typical January would be. So just a crazy amount of buyers out there. And any insight on where some of that demand is coming from, Jeff?
Yeah, we're seeing quite a bit of interest from Ontario and BC, and I know you and I have talked about this quite a bit. Just that, years ago, I relocated a number of Air Canada pilots to the province, and I didn't understand why more people weren't cashing out of those big markets, moving here, great lifestyle. In those instances, those professionals bought an equivalent home in Calgary after selling out big in Ontario, and then bought a condo in Fernie, and we see other folks buy in Canmore or Kelowna and essentially retire earlier. So we're seeing a lot of interest on the consumer side, people that actually want to move to the province of Alberta. And then we're also seeing a lot of investor interest. So we hear from a lot of our builder partners that, they get calls from buyers and investor groups out of Ontario and BC, and they are saying, we're not just going to buy one home, but we're looking at multiple. We want to buy 5 to 10 homes. So it's could be somewhat speculation on the Alberta market. We're in a really good spot right now with $90 oil and a strong fiscal picture going forward.
Yeah. So tons of buyers out there, lots of people looking for homes, not very many homes available on the market. Well, what's all of that doing to prices?
Yeah, so this graph's funny because that big spike at the beginning is kind of when I started in residential real estate. So 2006, 2007. So
it's because of you is what you're saying?
Yeah, I caused that spike. So 2006, 2007, we were in a crazy market, and there was very little supply at that time. I was actually traveling through much of this, but at that time there were stories of buyers, agents showing up, showing a home, and then, accidentally not returning the key to the lockbox to give them enough time to get back to the office and write an offer. And that's really what we're seeing right now. Properties, especially detached and semi-detached townhouse type product, they're being listed. There might be a Saturday for a 5-hour window where the seller expects all viewings to take place, and then everyone puts forward their best offer. And it's a frustrating process for a buyer, especially if you've offered on a property and you've lost out once, twice, maybe 3 times. And that's where I think, some of the rationality goes out the window, because once you've lost a few times in competing offers, you're no longer evaluating a home's value based on the merits of the home. You're really in this competitive mindset and you just want to win. And that's where, we're seeing a lot of homes sell for $50,000, $60,000, $100,000 over list. And it might not be a true reflection of the home's value, but it is this kind of frenzy that we're in right now.
Yeah. Maybe one difference between back in 2006, 7, 8 and today is back then prices kind of skyrocketed very quickly. And in 2021, prices went up really quickly in the first half, but in the latter half of the year, prices in Edmonton started declining a little bit, and they're been a little bit more stable, perhaps this time around than back then. But yeah, really interesting to hear you talk about the out of province buyers and the fact that homes are selling really quickly and people are accepting offers just days after they've listed. Didn't we have a seller recently in Edmonton? All of those aspects of the story were part of their sale?
Yeah, exactly. So we listed a home in the Hamptons not too long ago, and what was interesting about that is it sold sight unseen. So it was Vancouver buyers. They, like a lot of Vancouver buyers, I think they they want to set down roots, and it's a really tough market to get into. It's tough to build equity if you're just renting, and it's very difficult to buy a $1.5 million house if you're just starting out. And in this instance, they had a new baby, they had an opportunity to move to Edmonton for work, and they bought it sight unseen. What's also interesting is that there was no conditions on that offer. So I think that, especially as Vancouver and Ontario folks move to Alberta, they're more used to making conditionless offers, because that's the norm for their markets.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, let's wrap it up there. Just to let everyone know, if you want to check out all of this same data for your specific neighborhood or property type, you can find all of that information on Bōde.ca. You're also able to look up the sold price of any home that's sold in your neighborhood or anywhere in Alberta for the last 11 years. So check all of that out at Bōde.ca, and join us again next month.